Now, the shares of Nio yesterday finished trading at $5.09, down 4%, whilst the shares of Xpeng finished trading up to almost 2% at $14.49. Now, the market cap of Xpeng as of market close yesterday was sitting at $13.7 billion, whilst the market cap of Nio was sitting at $10.6 billion. This continues showing that, of course, Xpeng continues, in terms of the share price, stock price, continue doing way more than Nio. I mean, there is now a difference of $3 billion between Nio and Xpeng in terms of market cap. I don't know, part of the reason why Xpeng finished on a green was because of the P7 orders, which went to over 31,000 in a space of 24 hours. I don't know if that was the case, but again, man, you ask yourself why such news, or when we get to see maybe some of the latest developments that are happening around Nio, we don't get to see the share price of Nio exploding like how Xpeng does. I mean, at times, I mean, there are quite a number of news that you would see, or you would have noticed by now, that if Nio is to announce, of course, the market does not react as well as it would on other EV stocks like Xpeng, for instance, right? I mean, you will notice maybe probably even the same when we go to the Q3 earnings. You will notice that if both companies produce better earnings than what analysts expect, chances are very high that Xpeng, you would see it surging way more than Nio. And one has to ask themselves as to why. And the reason is, well, Nio has got more people manipulating the stock. There are just so many people manipulating the stocks, because even if you are to go and look at the trading volumes for both Xpeng and Nio, you will notice that Xpeng trading volume, for instance, you will find it at 8 million or 14 million on average, but on Nio the average trading volume is like 65 million. So you will know that there is more activity onto Nio than onto Xpeng when it comes to the daily trading activities or market volumes, which is something that, of course, it shows that there are people are paying more attention onto Nio, or the short sellers are paying more attention into Nio than into Xpeng, which this might be part of the reason why Nio might be punished the way we are seeing right now. I mean, yesterday it was not only Nio alone. I mean, Baba was down 5%, Lioro was down 7%, but Xpeng finished the day up 2% or almost 2%, which is something that, again, it just shows you, I think, what the market is trying to maybe make people to see is to maybe move their money onto Nio into Xpeng, thinking that Xpeng is bigger and has got great potential than Nio, which that's not the case. I mean, we have discussed, or we have touched a bit about why Nio is better than Xpeng. I mean, first things first, I mean, the total revenues that Xpeng generates, it's way lower than the total revenues that Nio generates. Even when you look into the total deliveries, I mean, as of the end of October, the total deliveries that Nio generated were 170,000 deliveries, while Xpeng, on the other hand, had 122,000 deliveries. The growth on Nio in terms of those deliveries from January to October was a 35% increase year over year, whilst on Xpeng it was just over 20% increase year over year, which again, it shows you that growth is there onto Nio. Yes, Xpeng right now they've got good gross margins as compared to that of Nio, and maybe their losses are not as much as that of Nio. But come on, man, we all know that part of the reason why Nio is incurring the quite number of losses into their earnings is because of the research and development, which if Nio is to cut that just even for one single quarter, Nio will become a profitable company. The only reason why Nio is not yet profitable is because of the R&D's research and development, which they are spending on the projects, which, I mean, if they don't do this, we all know that there is no future in Nio. And this shows us, or these R&Ds, the quite huge amounts that Nio is spending on R&Ds, is for Nio to remain relevant, is for Nio to have a bright future ahead. I mean, so many of the people were against Nio launching their sub-brands. They were saying Nio should rather have Nio models, maybe with the single motors, but right now they understand why Nio had to do what they do and said, no ways, we are going to introduce or make sub-brands or two sub-brands under the Nio brand, like what Lexus, Toyota, and Suzuki have, right? This is the relationship that Nio will have as compared to that of Toyota, Lexus, and Suzuki. So it's not a train smash, man. I know this year so many of the new investors might be worried about the earnings, might be worried especially about the share price, but I'm telling you, blue sky is coming, long term will win. Nio is going to come and give serious competition, not just to the premium cars or car brands, but rather to even the mass market. Onvo can compete, Onvo will be competing in the mass market, and that it's something that is pretty good, decent. I mean, 2025, we are going to get to see Firefly also coming and be in a competition with your Xpeng and all these cheap EV cars, like the cars that Zika selling, BYD selling. They are going to face some competition from the Firefly sub brand, which Nio intends on starting to deliver next year. So brace yourselves, ladies and gents. Hold on, don't worry that much about the share price that we are seeing onto Nio. I mean, some people are saying Nio is going to bankruptcy. I'm like, what? Come on, man. This very same Nio stock or Nio has been delivering 20,000 deliveries on a month to month, or over 20,000 deliveries on a month to month in like the last 6 months, consistently doing so. And this month we could see Nio delivering over 25,000 for the very first time, which is something that continues showing you the kind of progress that Nio is making, the kind of progress that Nio is producing in terms of deliveries, which that will result into greater revenue generation. So I know, man, and this is when you look into the market, compare Nio and Xpeng, it doesn't look right, man. I know. The market is trying to deceive us to thinking that Nio has no future and Xpeng has got a future. I'm not saying Xpeng does not have that much of a future, but all I'm trying to say is that when you compare the fundamentals of what Nio is doing versus that which Xpeng is doing, it's a no-brainer that Nio is going, in the long term, it's going to dwarf quite a number of EV cars, because with Nio, it's not just about selling cars. So you already know that. We already know that. It's also about the after-sale services which they are providing. Battery swapping station technology, which is the technology that is just so unique onto Nio, and with battery problem issues that some of the first people who bought full EV cars in China are facing. You and me can agree on to one thing, and that is there is a bright future alone. Looking at the future for batteries in EVs, there is a future into Nio, which therefore, though you might not be seeing it right now, I'm telling you, the future prospects, the potential for Nio in the future easily surpasses that of Xpeng and most of the EV car makers globally, which is why I'm going to remain with Nio, which is why I'm going to remain taking the low trading price as opportunities to load the boat. I will say this again, I know share price wise, Nio is not trading where you want it to trade. Currently it's trading 3 billion or has a market cap of 3 billion less than that which Xpeng has. And some people might be thinking that maybe they should buy Xpeng and not Nio. Maybe they should buy Li Auto and not Nio, which that unfortunately I cannot tell you or give you guidance on what to do. If you want to buy Xpeng, you can do that. If you want to buy Li Auto, Tesla, you do that, man. But as for me, man, when you talk about EV companies, I'm all in onto Nio, man. There is no other company I'm focused on. I'm not on Tesla, I'm not on Li Auto, I'm not on Xpeng, I won't be in Zika, but I'm just on Nio because I trust Nio so much that whatever money I have and I want to buy EV companies or I want to buy a stock, it has gotten to that point where I prioritize buying Nio even over and above all other stocks. Chances are if I have $1,000 or $2,000, chances is half of that money already, or without a minimum of 50% of that money will go onto Nio, which is something that, of course, it shows you or of where I am at when you look into Nio. So yeah, man, I just thought I'd give you this quick update. Tell me what you think about this. We need to brace ourselves, and yeah, we shall be rewarded in the long term. Take the low trading prices, opportunities to scope more shares. This is what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue doing that. That's all from me, and God bless you all.